You can control that wobbly vibrato. You can make it as contemporary as you want to. I'm going to show you why your vibrato has gotten a mind of its own, give you some quick tips to gain control of it starting right now, how to make it happen in a song, and give you a peek at what the permanent fix is to control your vibrato like a master. Hey there, I'm Kim Snyder, Master Vocal Coach, vocal repair expert, and creator of the Voice Club Method, the only singing instruction that is based on today's known science and neurology of what your voice can actually do. Believe it or not, there was a time that a big, wide, bold vibrato was considered cutting edge. It was hundreds of years ago. And yet those same cutting edge techniques that were used hundreds and hundreds of years ago to get this big, wide vibrato sound are still taught today. Why is that? Well, that's because over 95% of all singing instruction, classical and otherwise, is based on things that science has disproven as true a long time ago. And the other 5% are based only in the science that we learned about what the voice could do over 50 years ago. And I wouldn't have had any clue either if it weren't for the fact that 2 different doctors completely destroyed my voice twice. And the world's top vocal surgeon told me even everything that we do know in science would just not allow for me to ever speak again. And what I discovered in repairing my unrepairable voice twice has taught me what your incredible voice can really do. And I've been proving it in singers around the world ever since. So why has this vibrato become a bully? Did you know that vibrato is a styling tool? It's something you're supposed to be able to use when and where you want to. It should be as wide or as narrow, as fast or as slow as you choose, and it should only happen at will. Did you know you had that kind of power? Oh, you do. And if you do what I tell you, you're going to experience some of it right now. Before we start gaining some control of that bully vibrato that's gone rogue on you, we need to understand how vibrato really works. Believe it or not, every human being is born with a natural vibrato. This is a naturally occurring, beautifully unique thing that you're given by your creator at birth. It's incredible. But if that's true, why do most big vibratos all sound like a carbon copy of every other big vibrato? That's because that's not your natural vibrato. That is a forced vibrato. All our natural vibrato requires, in order to do its beautiful thing, is for the vocal muscle to be really relaxed, almost out of the game, just so that it barely holds those vocal folds in place, and they resist the air with just enough hold to let a little ripple go through, just like when you throw a little stone in the water and the little ripple happens. If you had a big storm and waves were crashing all over the place, you would never see that little ripple when you throw a stone in the water. Same thing happens when we've learned a forced vibrato. In order to manipulate the voice to do a forced vibrato, the vocal muscle has to be like a giant storm. It has to hold everything a certain way and then shake it like that. So you're never going to really experience your natural, beautiful vibrato when you sing all the time with a forced vibrato. The other problem that comes along with forced vibrato as the styling tool is that it becomes a habit really fast, and because it involves a lot of muscle, and muscle loves to keep going once it gets really strong, it shows up all over the place. And then somebody has the nerve to say, well, I'd love to have you sing, but you just don't have that contemporary sound. Or, you know, that's kind of what's behind it. Let me just burst another myth. It does not matter how old you are. That wiggly vibrato that you've learned somewhere along the way, either formally or informally, you just figured out on your own and it's become a giant monster that controls your voice, that is removable. It is controllable. And you already have everything you need to put it back in its place. The reason that a big vibrato is hard to control is not just in here, it's in here, in what I call the brain's singing database. This is the part of your brain that captures all the information that you believe about how to sing, whether it was formally taught to you over the years, whether you have a vocal degree, or whether you just watch TV shows and listen to the judges spew whatever came off their head. All of that went into your singing database. Problem is, as I said, science has proven over 95% of it simply does not gel with how the body works. So we've got all of these bits of singing tips up in our brain conflicting with each other, trying to fight each other, trying to make the body do what they're trying to make it do when they don't work in a way that the body can actually work. And the result of that is inconsistent at best. And the habits that we've developed that involve the vocal muscle being very big, those suckers get out of scale really fast and they start showing up all over the place. Now, what is needed to fix this? First, we need to disrupt the signal from the singing database. We need to shut it off so it quits trying to give us directions that we know don't work. Secondly, we need to take what's happening in our vocal anatomy and we need to give it a way to prove that your voice physically can do what your brain is telling it it cannot do, and that is sing without that big vibrato. When we get your voice to do that, it's giving new information to your singing database. And if you want a permanent fix, we need to rewire that entire singing database so it doesn't keep spewing out the old stuff that's putting the wrenches in the vocal machine in the first place. The quick fix I'm going to give you today is step 1 to getting some new information out of the machine that can do incredible things. We're going to take the word now, and we're going to hold it out as long as we can. Now, don't worry about what it sounds like or where the note is or how ugly this or that. Just unplug all of that. We don't need any of that information. It's not going to do us any good. All we want to focus on is how quickly is my vibrato showing up, okay? Vibrato should show up only when you ask it to and as much as you ask for. And at the beginning, ain't none of that going to happen. So when you sing now, when you hold this word out, we want to uncover what the process is doing right now in your voice. So if I sing now, and there it goes, or if I sing now, and it's there right away. If I sing that a few times, you're going to find an average. Does it give me a fraction of a second before it goes into vibrato? Does it start a little soft and then it gets really wide? Take a look under the hood and see what is it already doing. That is no reflection on what your voice can do, by the way. That is simply the evidence of what your body is able to do given what's up here in your brain's singing database. The first thing we're going to do is stop what we don't want because we're in charge, remember? And we're going to use the W on the end of the word now to do that. So when I sing now and it goes into that vibrato, I'm going to stop it immediately. I'm going to nip it at the bud by cutting it off with that W. Now, as soon as I feel that wiggle, as soon as that wiggle happens at all, we're going to nip it in the bud, cut it off with the W. In the beginning, you'll forget to put the W on, but repeat this over and over and over and get in the habit of snapping it off with that W. It's going to be a very important tactic for you to control it in songs. Once you can snap off that now with the W pretty instinctively, then we're going to learn how to hold that note still. Now, you've probably thunk of this one on your own before. Why don't I just hold the note still? Everybody says, just hold the note still. Well, how? I can give you a million theories about how to hold a note still, but it's not going to make it any easier for you unless I can explain to you how your body actually works and what we can use to give your vocal machine the tools it needs to do the job of holding the note still. So why don't we try that? All right, we need to engage the vocal muscles to hold that note still. But how? Well, just think about the way your major muscle groups work in the rest of your body. If you need to keep something from falling over on you, what do? Your muscles engage and you press against it. We're going to do that in your voice. And what we're going to press against is the letter N. Now, if you say now, 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 it sounds pretty mushy, right? That N is just like now, now, now. Now, give me a urgent mom or dad now. Now! It's a different kind of N, isn't it? It's not this tiny little nice lowercase n. It's 7 capital N's in size, 55 font. Now! When you hear the difference between a now and a now, you are feeling the difference between a little vocal muscle doing this and a vocal muscle doing this. So we can engage your vocal muscle to stabilize that vibrato by pressing into that N. Once we can consistently nip it in the bud when the vibrato starts, we've developed the habit of shutting it off when we tell it to. Then we're going to start pressing into that N and engaging more vocal muscle to stabilize that straight note. So instead of now, we're going to go n, 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 now. You're going to find that that note is straight and it's so easy. Do it right now. Give her a try. Now, every time you hold out, now you're going to give it a big sticky N. You're going to hold it out, let it go as long as it stays straight, because that's what you told it to do. The fraction of a second it goes wiggly on you, wah! That's not what I asked for. Thank you very much. As soon as you try this, leave me a comment. Tell me what it was like. What did you think? Do share. Did you even know you could do that? When you repeat that often enough and it becomes pretty secondhand, then it's time to start doing it in a song. And if you can do that, the question is, what else can your voice already do that it's just not doing because of what's up here? I've created a 30-day Restart Your Vocal Engine workout with 4 weekly specific vocal training workouts to do just that. Unplug that old database, get proof going in your physical voice, and retrain a new singing database so that you can learn to master your own voice. And in that 30 days, I also give you tools to assess the 5 qualities of a vocal athlete to see where you really are and gain a greater understanding of really how accessible it is for your voice. Find out all about that at thevoiceclub.com. Now let's put this to practice in a song. Where should we start trying this out in a song? Well, just sing a little bit and see where your vibrato embarrasses you. When it shows up and you didn't ask for it, it overstays its welcome a little bit. Circle that on your lyric sheet and bring that home. That's exactly where you should start. Take that place where that vibrato is doing its own thing when you didn't ask for it, and use that word in the same exercise I just gave you. Find that word that you've circled, and the first thing we're going to do is nip it in the bud. Let's say the word is stay. I'm going to sing that word. As soon as my vibrato shows up, I'm going to nip it in the bud because I didn't ask for it. Doesn't matter if it's pretty or not. Doesn't matter if I like it. I didn't ask for it, okay? Stay. Use the end of the word to nip it in the bud. Stay. Get out of there. Repeat that over and over until you gain that basic habit of nipping it. Then we need to press into the vocal muscle and stabilize that. Now, how do we do that on a word like stay? We'll start with the first letter of the word and see if we can press into it. S, s. I can't get that n feel out of s. Skip it. Next is T. T, t, t. Yeah. N, t, t. No, skip it. What's next? A, a, a. N, a. Ooh, I feel like it's got a little pressy point there. I'll use that one. Stay. And I will use the A to press into so we can rein in that vibrato. Always be looking for the places where your vibrato shows up when you did not ask for it. Especially when you're like, oh, I wish it didn't come out like that. That's where you'll start working on it first. Repeat this simple process every single time your vibrato becomes a bully and does what you didn't ask it for. And pretty soon what you're going to notice is there'll be a fraction of a second when you go into vibrato when your brain goes, wait a minute, are we doing this new thing or are we doing that old thing? And it'll check in with you. That's what you want because you should be in charge of what comes out of here. And you can be. So stop blaming your voice. And stop taking singing advice and feeding this old database. Become a smart singer. Ask me any questions you have. I've got a free Facebook group because my whole goal is to make smart singers and to make it as accessible as possible. The link is in the description. So be encouraged. You can be in control of your voice. It can do things so much more amazing than you think it can. Don't let anything separate you from the joy of singing. Get out there and sing.